this edition of Southern Newsweek, a local MP blames the government for the problems surrounding holiday pay and the Holidays Act. Change at the University of Otago as its research priorities are shuffled and not everyone is happy. And the City to Sea Bridge idea is back in the headlines as supporters push for a modern connection. Kia ora, I'm Holly Buchanan. Hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders are believed to be out of pocket by millions of dollars due to the mismanagement of their holiday pay. The nationwide fiasco relates to employers not updating or using payroll systems in line with the Holidays Act. And one local MP is blaming the government.
Thousands of local workers are likely owed money by their employers. That's the concern of Dunedin North MP David Clark, who's been looking into the nationwide saga.
We have companies across New Zealand who have not correctly applied the law. Now it's very difficult because it's probably not employers' fault in every case. The law is difficult to comply with using current software products on the market.
Dr Clark says big companies and even some government departments are using software that doesn't correctly calculate holiday pay. He claims the government's known about it for 6 years. A group was established to resolve the situation, but that broke down, and since then it's supposedly been in the too hard basket.
In the meantime, the liability has grown. By some estimates, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And the crazy thing is that most employees in New Zealand will not even know that they haven't been paid properly because the payroll system tells them they have.
Minister of Economic Development Stephen Joyce has described the holiday pay entitlements calculation as fiendishly complex. The government's putting the onus on employers to fix their payroll systems and back pay staff owed money.
McDonald's has announced that it's looking at its payroll systems. Fonterra has announced it's looking at its payroll systems. And New Zealand Post already went through to the appeal court to deal with similar issues. And now that is behind them. But other large companies are finding out that they have the same challenges, and it will be across small companies too.
The police department's already shelled out about $33 million in back pay, and ironically the government's calculating its own payroll failures. Some workers are believed to have been shortchanged by thousands of dollars. It's mostly people working public holidays, shifts and irregular hours that are affected.
The sectors most likely to be affected are the health sector, doctors, nurses and the like who work on public holidays and work irregular hours. And if it turns out that DHBs are affected, for example, this will almost certainly run into the hundreds of millions of dollars.
The New Zealand Council of Trade Unions is calling for another working group to be established to fix the problem. Staff are generally only able to claim for lost wages going back 6 years. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
The country's largest primary healthcare provider is appealing to the public for help. St John is aiming to raise $2 million to buy more ambulances and life-saving equipment. And local staff say the demand for services has never been greater.
Gearing up for the next call-out. Local St John staff are hoping their work is supported by the public as the organisation tries to raise funds this week. It's all about boosting services so employees and volunteers can keep their presence felt locally.
We're raising funds nationally for our ambulance service to support the running of our ambulance services, buying equipment, life-saving equipment for them, and also for purchasing new ambulances.
The Dunedin branch experiences about 40 call-outs a day and up to 20,000 a year. It costs $1 million annually to run one appliance, and the local service has 4. Even a purpose-built stretcher can be as expensive as $15,000, and advanced life support defibrillators are worth about $40,000.
The ambulances need replacing regularly, and they're a big cost nowadays, somewhere up around the $200,000 mark. And so, the more people that give to our annual appeal, the more we're able to replace those in a timely manner.
Demand for services has never been greater, increasing by 6% each year nationwide. In Dunedin, there are 40 full-time ambulance staff and nearly 200 operational and community volunteers. They say having the crucial service available to locals requires support from the community.
Our ambulance service, obviously that's really life-saving, and it's really important that if someone is in need of an ambulance that they can just call up and there is one available, or on its way. With our community programs, it's about supporting our community really, especially within the hospital and our care and caller services.
Almost 500,000 people were treated and transported in ambulances throughout the country last year. St John's aiming to raise $2 million from this annual appeal. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
The University of Otago is changing its main research priorities, announcing 13 special projects. The research themes involve collaborations between different university departments and other organisations. And while the shift in focus is exciting some, it brings disappointment for others.
Launching a new phase in tertiary research, University of Otago staff have gathered to learn more about the 13 projects being given top priority over the next 3 years. The research themes beat other proposed pieces of work in the jostle for contestable funding.
We incentivise that with a small amount of money. I won't specify exactly how much each of them gets, but it's enough to run a lean operation of coordinating.
The university renews its 13 research themes every 3 years. This time around, 9 brand new projects have been chosen alongside 4 pre-existing ones. That's cause for celebration for many staff, but it means 9 previous top collaborations have either come to the end of their life, been disestablished, or now rely on outside funding.
There are some disappointed people who would have liked to have carried on with their existing themes, but that's the nice thing about a university. We're a nice collegial environment, but we're also a competitive environment, and it is the things that are of highest quality that we will value and will want to support.
The research themes cover a wide range of topics, from making New Zealand smoke-free to Māori teaching and the health of Indigenous populations. They're designed to build on the university's strengths and deliver findings with global significance. One such project is about sustainable energy use, and another deals with the environment.
A real strength in Otago University looking at polar research. So we've got people looking at Arctic and Antarctic research. So that's the global context.
It's hoped the new phase of research attracts millions of dollars in outside funding for the university and its staff to continue leading the way. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
A Central City venue owner is waiting to hear whether his on licence will be renewed. It's opposed by police and health officials who say the owner has a lackadaisical attitude towards host responsibility, and they say it's time he either steps up or ships out.
Making his case, Sammy's owner and operator Samuel Chin is fighting to have his on licence renewed for his Crawford Street entertainment venue. But that's raised concerns from police, stemming from a meeting with Chin last year to determine his knowledge of the applicable alcohol legislation.
The answers to the questions were amongst the poorest I've heard. For a licensee of over 12 years experience, to answer the way Mr Chin did was unacceptable. It appeared Mr Chin had done no preparation for this interview.
Police say Chin was unable to name the 3 accepted forms of age identification and struggled to outline best practice for dealing with intoxicated people. The committee noted that in the past, police and other authorities have been tolerant with Chin, issuing only 1 warning. But Sergeant Paulin says the proprietors had enough chances.
The applicant has failed to change, he's failed to keep on top of the new legislation trends, he's failed to heed the advice of the agencies, which we've given him every opportunity over the last 5 years that I've been doing this job. So we've heard so many times it won't happen again.
At the hearing, Chin accepted without rebuttal what police and staff from other agencies said about him. He says he's made mistakes in the past, but he's ready to do what he can to comply with the law.
Obviously, it's more serious. Before I was just saying yes, no, yes, and not doing anything about it. Because for here, I know I have to basically pull my finger out and just do the right thing.
Several ways to address some of the perceived issues have been discussed at the hearing. They include the implementation of a manager to oversee the liquor side of things, as well as an earlier one-way door policy. The Dunedin District Licensing Committee will make a decision about the on-licence in coming days. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Residents in favour of harborside development are urging the Dunedin City Council to get cracking. In 2011, a City 2C bridge was proposed to connect the town centre to the steamer basin. And advocates say it's time to refresh the idea so Dunedin can catch up with the rest of the world.
putting their case to the authorities. These residents are urging city councillors to fast-track the development of the proposed bridge connecting the CBD to the Upper Harbour.
We feel there's been a lot of inertia about the harbourside development, so we really want to help kickstart it in any way. There was a lot of discussions last year, a lot of newspaper articles, but again it seems to have gone into the backwaters again.
The proposed pedestrian and cycle bridge would allow direct access from near the Chinese Garden to the Custom House building. Supporters say the thoroughfare would promote more tourism and business in the harbour precinct. Mackay envisions it as a dam bursting, opening the claustrophobic city centre to the sea with its fresh air and pristine waters.
By putting the bridge in place, property developers will hopefully be incentivised to really invest in the area. So if they can see the council is going ahead with these sort of things, then hopefully the whole thing will take off.
It's believed the bridge would cost up to $3.5 million. Mackay says the DCC should consider partnering with property and business developers looking to invest in the area to cut costs to ratepayers. He says it's time for Dunedin to catch up with cities like Wellington, Auckland and others around the world which have bustling waterfronts.
Excuses are made like it being too cold and windy, but when you look at cities, even in the UK, the weather's often much worse, and just about every city around the world has gone ahead with their harbourside.
The bridge could also better connect planned and existing cycleways in the area, further promoting their usage. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, the work of a local PhD student may be about to change the way we exercise on an international scale. And we meet a man who's urging those who are shaving their heads to offer their hair up for sale. Welcome back. Local research into calorie burning may help change the way people exercise on an international scale. A University of Otago PhD student has developed a method for creating personalised workout recommendations based on weight and height. And he's hoping some current fitness fads are reconsidered.
Walking towards weight loss. This local university researcher is looking at walking and calorie burning to create individualised fitness recommendations for people of all sizes.
What I'm trying to do is find a more equitable way of prescribing exercise for health and possibly weight loss for overweight and obese adults.
Mabia developed the calorie cost calculator to determine how much exercise someone needs to do if they want to maintain or lose weight. People enter their details into the system to create a picture of how much movement's suitable for them. The national recommendation is 150 minutes of physical activity a week for someone about 70 kgs and 5'8" in height. The calculator is aimed at giving more accurate suggestions for those who don't fit the mould.
We've developed something called the calorie cost calculator, which prescribes a dose of walking. So back last year we put 62 people on our treadmill. We counted the calories that each person burnt during a 15-minute walk, and we looked at the difference in their energy expenditure, so the number of calories that each person was expending.
The PhD study just focuses on walking, although Mabia says any physical activity is good. Only half the population is active at the recommended level, and New Zealand is considered the third most obese country in the world. From this research, Mabia wants to see national and international physical guidelines updated to help those suffering from weight problems.
150 minutes each week of moderate intensity activity. It can't stay like that. It needs to be individualised for each person so they can get the maximum benefit. Particularly for the more overweight people, these current guidelines might not be safe. So if we can prescribe exercise in a safer, more effective way, it's going to be more beneficial.
He also wants to see wearable activity monitors become more accurate and used in a wider setting to help people trying to track calorie burning. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
Residents will get an answer as to why the Chinese Garden exists in Dunedin as part of a local documentary. Toitu Otago Settlers Museum staff are making a film about Chinese migration to Otago gold mines in the 19th century. And they're hoping to give people a better understanding of the Chinese community's role in New Zealand's heritage.
Recording a piece of local history. These filmmakers are in the process of making an insightful documentary looking at Chinese migration to Otago goldfields.
It's called The Journey to Lan Huan, and it's seeking really to answer the question, why is there a Chinese garden in Dunedin? You know, what does it signify? What's the Chinese heritage in Otago that it symbolises and that it commemorates? So that's really what we're trying to do.
To answer that question, those involved are telling the story of Chinese migration to the region through gold mining. A film crew spent last week in central Otago recording historic goldfields and will soon travel to the Hokianga as well as Victoria and Shanghai. Qingdong in China is the last stop on the tour, which is where many gold mining immigrants originated.
All over the place there are remnant elements and places on the landscape, Chinaman's Gully and Wongong's Terrace and all these sort of things that signify how important the Chinese were to the Otago goldfields in the late 1860s in particular.
Chinese have an extensive history in Dunedin since migrating as the first non-Europeans in the 1860s. Brosnahan says they were often discriminated against, but their culture and community began to flourish locally in the mid-20th century. Toitu staff are hoping to paint a picture of that for local Chinese and the wider community.
This thread that, if you follow through history, leads all the way to those young people today living here as part of our community and really just part of the furniture. But back in the day, their forebears, their predecessors, were really adding a new element to the place.
The documentary has been funded by the New Zealand Chinese Association and the Otago Community Trust. It's expected to be finished around the end of the year. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
Dozens of locals are going bald for leukemia and blood cancer, New Zealand's signature fundraising event, Shave for a Cure. A Dunedin wig maker is urging participants to offer their tresses for sale to boost charitable efforts. He says a ponytail can go a lot further than most people realise.
Brushing through the finer details, local wig makers are creating headpieces from hair received as part of a charity fundraiser.
We thought it would be helpful if they were aware, so that the people who are shaving the hair would in turn cut the hair and make it available to us.
Freedom Hair pays donors for their locks, or if sellers don't want to be reimbursed, the business donates the equivalent to charity. It receives 3 to 4 kilograms of hair every 2 months from Shave for a Cure participants. Staff are asking contributors to cut hair rather than shave it, so it can raise more money for the cause and provide wigs for those who need it.
We need around 10 to 12 ponytails for each order that we make to create the product, and so we'll blend the hair and we'll prepare that for implanting into a hairpiece for clients around the world who have long-term total hair loss.
It takes 6 weeks to create a wig start to finish, and the workroom makes 1,500 each year. 90% of the wigs go to people all over the world suffering from hair loss as a result of conditions like alopecia. Conley says customers often write back saying how the hairpieces have been a godsend and have given them a wealth of confidence.
Their parents invest in one of our products for them, and they'll write back, as they have done, and say their child is now improving in terms of school performance, they're getting on with their lives, and they're enjoying life along with every other people around in their schools.
The business is hoping for 1 to 200 ponytails from Shave for a Cure participants this year. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
And just ahead on Southern Newsweek, we'll find out how local children are going to benefit from the work of an award-winning carpentry apprentice, and a shiny trophy entices more kids onto the rugby field. Welcome back. A local carpentry apprentice has won the Otago section of a national building contest. He competed alongside 4 others at Otago Polytechnic, and their efforts are going to help children throughout the city.
Hammering home the win. Dunedin carpentry apprentice Chris Campbell has been competing against 4 others in the Otago section of a national contest. He won the 8-hour challenge put on by certified builders.
These are all apprentices that are usually around 2nd and 3rd year, so they've got a bit of confidence, but this hopefully will help them actually get into the trade and have a bit of confidence when they actually have to go out on their own and deal with people. Then they'll realise they'll be under a bit of pressure.
Each contestant had to construct a children's playhouse to the millimetre. Their health and safety practices were judged, as well as the condition of their tools and how they went about the construction. But ultimately it came down to who did the best job in the time given. Now the 5 completed playhouses are going to be donated to local early childhood centres.
The great thing about these playhouses is that the guys are actually building something that's going to go back to the community.
Campbell was the runner-up in last year's regional final when the Dunedin winner went on to place 3rd in the Nationals.
That involves quite a few things. It's not just building one thing. They have to get up and speak in front of people. They have to present to there are conferences that are going on. Really awesome opportunity again to really step up and see if they've got the skills and the confidence to be able to stand in front of people and do stuff like that.
The Certified Builders Association is hoping the annual contest attracts more young people into the industry. Gray says there's a significant shortage of young builders and apprentices, despite a growing need for them, especially in Christchurch and Auckland.
We're hoping that small things like this competition, and for one, encourage the young guys to come through, but also the community's welcome to come along and have a look, and hopefully, in trying to involve the community, they can see that there is actually good young tradesmen coming through.
The association is keen to base future challenges around other items that can benefit the wider community. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
Plans to establish a wildlife hospital at Otago Polytechnic are beginning to take shape. Stakeholders from several conservation agencies are working on the proposal, which is being spearheaded by a visiting wildlife veterinarian. And she says it would be of huge benefit to local fauna.
Caring for native critters. For the past 6 weeks, wildlife veterinarian Lisa Argilla's been nursing injured penguins back to health at Otago Polytechnic. The work's inspired her plan to establish a specialist wildlife hospital in Dunedin, so injured animals don't need to be sent elsewhere.
All the wildlife hospitals that have dedicated wildlife veterinarians, and there's 3 of them, are based on the North Island. So at the moment, animals that are endangered or vulnerable or threatened, that are injured or sick and needing veterinary care, that might not be able to be dealt with by a local veterinarian, they're all sent to the North Island, which is quite a big stress on the body.
Treatment delays for sick animals can reduce their survival rate. Argilla's hoping that'll encourage interested stakeholders to support the local hospital idea. She's met with staff from several groups, including Orokonui Eco Sanctuary and the Department of Conservation, to gauge support and get feedback.
We just really wanted some input because there's a lot of great experience out there with a lot of people who've running trusts and who know how to do all of those kinds of, business planning type of details. So it was a great meeting.
The proposed hospital would be based at Otago Polytechnic, which has been hosting Argilla for the past 6 weeks. She's confident if the plan goes ahead, the resource will be used frequently to help a raft of species.
The kakapo are a great example. The New Zealand Centre for Conservation Medicine in Auckland look after them, but I have a really good relationship with them, and I've always been able to help them with kakapo work. So I would hope that this hospital would definitely be a place that they would utilise if they needed it. Obviously the penguins and albatross, and there's a whole lot of common species as well, which just don't benefit from having really, really great veterinary care.
Argilla's now shifting her focus from penguins to caring for young kakapo in Invercargill. She'll be there for the next couple of months, during which time plans for the proposed wildlife hospital will be ongoing. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Local high school pupils have been getting a close look at the Rugby World Cup. The trophy is travelling around schools up and down the country as part of a bid to entice more youth into sport. And it's already got the city's students rearing to get on the field.
Posing with New Zealand's pride and joy, the Rugby World Cup stopped off at King's High School today as part of a secondary tour. It's aimed at getting youth engaged with the country's most popular sport.
Just to bring the cup all around the schools around New Zealand and try and get more people involved in rugby and just provide a bit of input around the trophy and what it sort of symbolises.
New Zealand rugby representatives have taken the trophy to 4 schools around the city with staff from local unions. They're also wanting to further educate students about the sport, and some stories of games gone by had audiences enthralled.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity, not every day you get to see the Rugby World Cup. Only comes around every 4 years.
Yeah, kind of feel part of the All Blacks team, getting the trophy down here motivates me to maybe get up to that high level one day.
Computers were at hand for pupils to register for school rugby teams if they felt inspired. As the rugby season begins, local organisations are encouraging more young people to get involved.
I reckon definitely the cup being in Dunedin will definitely help boost the intake of rugby players in Dunedin, so it'll be good to see.
King's High School is one of 75 on the Cup route, with the trophy heading south tomorrow. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
And finally, 100 high-speed drivers have carved up local roads in the 40th annual Otago Rally. The event serves as the opening round of the New Zealand Rally Championship and has this year attracted more entries than ever before. And that's helped to significantly boost the local economy.
Cruising into the central city, a record number of race cars took over the octagon for the beginning of this year's Otago Rally. But organisers aren't surprised by the Dunedin event's increasing popularity.
I think it's a general sign of the times that the economy is improving, but also really Otago is gaining a really solid reputation around the country. And we run a two-day event, we're only two-day events in the country, and the roads and the reception and the people given down here is just really top-notch.
100 competitors took part in the rally, with 12 of those travelling from overseas. Oakley says the unique countryside is a draw card for a lot of drivers, as well as the opportunity to see local landmarks.
We try and link the event into all the things that we like about Dunedin, like starting in the octagon here and finishing at the railway station. We have a big dinner in the town hall with 430 people, but it also fills up the accommodation around the town. A very conservative calculation is a direct spend of $1 million during this weekend.
Plenty of spectators lined the course, hoping to catch a glimpse of the fast and furious action. Organisers say making sure the event runs smoothly and is safe for all those involved is one of the key challenges in staging the event.
There's an enormous amount of road closures and administration and safety procedures. 300 volunteers are out there during the weekend, and a lot of hard work to raise sponsorship and support. We're very grateful for everything we get.
World Rally Championship star Hayden Paddon took out the top spot at the weekend event with a record-winning margin of more than 9 minutes. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And that's all for this edition of Southern Newsweek. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and don't forget to check out our website at dunedintv.co.nz. I'm Holly Buchanan, thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.